Welcome to 10-Minute English Stories. Today, we have a very special story for you. It is about one boy who never gave up. Listen carefully, learn English, and feel inspired. Let's begin. What if everyone in your life told you you will fail? Your teacher said it. Your neighbors said it. Even the people you loved said it. But one boy decided to prove them all wrong. He had no money. He had no connections. He only had one thing, a decision. And what happened next changed his life forever. This is the story of a boy named Ethan. Ethan Brooks. He lived in a small, quiet town called Maplewood. The town was not famous. The roads were old. The buildings were gray. Ethan's family was very poor. His father worked long hours at a factory. His mother cleaned houses to earn money. Some days there was not enough food on the table. But Ethan had one big dream. He wanted to become a doctor. Not just any doctor. He wanted to help poor people. People like his own family who could not afford medicine. It was a beautiful dream, but the world was about to tell him it was impossible. Ethan's school was old and broken. The books were torn. The chairs were falling apart. Many teachers had given up on their students long ago. One afternoon in science class, Ethan raised his hand. He told his teacher, Mr. Harris, about his dream. He said, "I want to become a doctor, sir. I want to help people." The class went silent. Then Mr. Harris looked at Ethan. He looked at his old shoes, his torn shirt, his broken bag. And he said, "Ethan, forget about becoming a doctor. You don't have the money. You don't have the resources. Some dreams are just not for people like you." Some students laughed. Others looked away, embarrassed. Ethan felt his face turn red. His hands were shaking under the desk. He looked down and said nothing, but inside, something was burning. But he was wrong about Ethan. Very, very wrong. That night, Ethan sat alone in his small room. There was only one small light on the table. He opened his old, torn science book. He looked at the pages for a long time, and then he made a decision, a quiet, powerful decision. He said to himself, "I will study every single day. No excuses, no stopping, no matter what." And he did exactly that. Every morning, Ethan woke up at 5 a.m. While everyone else was sleeping, Ethan was reading. Every evening after dinner, while his parents rested, Ethan was writing notes by the small yellow light. He studied on the bus. He studied during lunch. He studied every free moment he had. Weeks passed, then months. People noticed. His friend Marcus came to him one day and said, "Ethan, why are you trying so hard? You know you will never make it, right? Stop wasting your time." Ethan looked at Marcus. He smiled quietly and calmly and said, "Just watch me." And he walked away. But that was just the beginning of the real test. One cold November morning, Ethan was sitting in class. His phone buzzed. It was his mother. He stepped outside. Her voice was shaking. She said, "Ethan, your father collapsed at the factory. He's in the hospital." Ethan's world went dark. He ran. He ran all the way to the hospital. When he arrived, he saw his father lying in the hospital bed. He was pale. He was weak. Tubes were connected to his arms. The doctor came out and said the medicine would cost a lot of money, money they did not have. Ethan sat next to his father. His father opened his eyes slowly. He looked at Ethan and whispered, "Son, I am sorry. I could not give you a better life." Ethan held his father's hand tightly. Tears filled his eyes, but he did not break. He said softly, "Papa, you gave me everything I needed. You gave me the will to fight." What happened next, nobody expected. That very night, Ethan called the town library. He asked if he could volunteer, clean shelves, organize books, in exchange for using their medical study guides. The librarian, a kind old woman named Mrs. Cole, said yes immediately. Every weekend, Ethan cleaned and organized, and every weekend, he sat in the quiet corner of the library and studied advanced medicine. One Saturday morning, he saw a notice on the board. It said, "National Medical Scholarship Exam, full scholarship to Jefferson Medical College, open to all students. Top 10 scorers will be selected." Ethan stared at the notice for a long time. 10 students from the whole country. His heart was pounding. He wrote down the details. He went home and told his mother. She hugged him tightly and said, "You can do this, my son. I know you can." But not everyone believed that. When Ethan told Mr. Harris about the exam, his teacher laughed out loud. "You? A national scholarship? That's for the smartest students in the country, Ethan, not for someone like you." Ethan stood very still. He looked at Mr. Harris directly and said, "Then I will become one of those students." He turned and walked out of the room. He had 4 months to prepare. He used every single minute. The night before the exam, Ethan could not sleep. His hands were cold. His heart was racing. He sat at his small desk. He looked at everything in front of him, his torn books, his pages of handwritten notes, his years of hard work, all right there. He thought about his father in the hospital. He thought about his mother working 3 jobs. He thought about his teacher who laughed. He thought about Marcus who said, "You will never make it." He closed his eyes. He took a long, deep breath, and he whispered to himself, "I did not come this far to stop here." The next morning, he walked into the exam hall. 500 students from all over the country were already seated. Bright students, rich students, students from the best schools in the nation. Ethan looked around the big room. He felt small just for a moment. Then he sat down. He picked up his pen, and he began. For 3 hours, he wrote everything he knew. Every late night, every early morning, every page of every book he had ever read. It all came out on those pages. But what came next shook him completely. After the exam, Ethan walked home alone. He felt empty, completely empty. He did not know if he had done enough. He sat next to his father's hospital bed that night. His father was sleeping peacefully. Ethan whispered, "I tried my best, Papa. I really did." He held his father's hand and closed his eyes. 3 long weeks passed. Every day felt like a year. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. Ethan's mother picked up the letter. She saw the return address. Her hands started shaking. She called Ethan loudly. "Ethan, come here, now!" He came running down the stairs. He looked at the envelope. It said, "National Medical Scholarship Committee." The room went completely silent. Ethan slowly took the letter. He opened it. He read the first line. And then, he could not breathe. The letter said, "Dear Ethan Brooks, we are proud to inform you that you have achieved one of the top 10 scores in the National Medical Exam. You have been awarded a full scholarship to Jefferson Medical College." His mother screamed with joy. She grabbed him and held him tightly. Tears ran down her face. Ethan stood still for a moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. Not a big, loud smile, just a quiet, deep smile. The kind of smile that says, "I knew it." And that was just the beginning of his story. Years later, Ethan graduated from Jefferson Medical College with top honors. He returned to Maplewood. He opened a free clinic in his old neighborhood. People who could not afford medicine, people just like his own family, came to his clinic every single day. And on the wall of his small clinic, there was one simple sign. It said, "Nothing is impossible." One day, a young boy came in with his sick mother. He looked up at the sign with curious eyes. He asked, "Doctor, is that really true? Is nothing really impossible?" Ethan looked at the boy. He thought about his torn books, his small room, his teacher who laughed at his dream, his father in that hospital bed. He smiled gently and said, "Young man, the only thing that can truly stop you is giving up." Life will tell you you can't do it. People will tell you you don't belong here. The world will try to make you feel small. But here is the truth. Your dream is possible. Your goal is reachable. The only question is, are you willing to work for it? Ethan had nothing but a dream and a decision, and that was enough. Remember this, nothing is impossible. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you tomorrow.